The common loon is best known for its wistful cry echoing out over a quiet lake. It can be exciting to see and hear them as they bob on the surface, disappear as they dive to catch a fish, and pop up again in a different spot. I'm Jillian Whitney, wildlife biologist for ECR's Division of Water Supply Protection. I'm going to tell you about loons on the Quabbin and Wachusett Reservoirs. They are fascinating birds with some very unique traits, including sensitivity to pollutants, making them very important residents of our reservoirs. The Quabbin and Wachusett Reservoirs are the two largest bodies of water in the state of Massachusetts. They are also the main suppliers of drinking water for over 3 million people that live in the metropolitan Boston area. The reservoir's vast open space, pristine waters, and limited public access make them perfect loon habitat. But the characteristic of each nesting loon pair, requiring large territory spread over expansive areas, pose no threat to water quality. Native to North America, this unique bird was at one time driven out of Massachusetts as a result of hunting, habitat loss, and increasing pollution. The last documented nesting pair had been in 1872, and by 1925, loons were officially declared extirpated, no longer living in the state. Conservation efforts later in the century brought cleaner water and more favorable habitat, encouraging a comeback. The first nesting loon pair returning to Massachusetts was documented in 1975 at Quabbin Reservoir, and then the first documented pair was seen at Wachusett Reservoir in 1984. Since then, the loon population has grown steadily, inhabiting more ponds and lakes in the state. Quabbin Reservoir is home to the largest concentration of breeding loons in the state. In the summer of 2023, 23 territorial pairs were found at the Quabbin Reservoir, 6 pairs at the Wachusett Reservoir, and 2 pairs on smaller water bodies that the DWSP monitors. That means 31 of the 51 documented pairs of loons in Massachusetts were located on the Quabbin and Wachusett Reservoir system. The Quabbin and Wachusett Reservoirs are particularly suitable for loons because, as diving birds, they require vast areas of open, clear water where fish can easily be seen while hunting underwater. Seeing loons on a lake, pond, or a reservoir indicates clean, clear water. DWSP has maintained a loon monitoring program since 1982. Natural Resources staff studies loon pairs by locating nests, identifying individuals, and tracking the progress of chicks. In summer, at night, loons are netted and, in collaboration with the Biodiversity Research Institute, checked for overall health, and blood and feather samples are taken to test for contaminants like mercury or lead. Then they are given color-coded leg bands for later tracking and identification.
The bottom part of the loon's leg is thicker, so we try to get a good sized band on its bottom leg. And if it can't slip over the knuckle, then we're good to go. Jillian, this will be band number 1238.
Yep.
256.
Yep.
31. Okay, that's gonna stay.
All right.
So there's still plenty of room for that bird to grow, and it can't get over that knuckle. And so for the chicks, we usually put the silver, or always put the silver on the left leg, and the adults, we put the silver on the right leg. You can go ahead and pick them up and set them right in this bag.
This information is logged to not only track their well-being, but any toxicity levels found are also noted for use as an indicator of overall water quality.
This is Hastings?
Hastings, yes. Left foot is 19.4.
This process is done quickly to avoid stressing the birds, after which the birds are released back into the wild unharmed to rejoin their families. Loons are outstanding swimmers, due in part to their legs being far back on their bodies, but this makes them quite clumsy on land. For this reason, loons nest very close to the water. They prefer sandy shores with low vegetation and a shallow approach, making it easy for them to get to and from the nest. Here is a good example of what we call a scrape nest, a simple, shallow depression in the sand, usually dug by the expectant parents, where a loon will lay her eggs. Loons can also make a more substantial nest by carving out a bowl of soil land vegetation. And since the typical loon nest is open and exposed, they often choose to nest on islands that will naturally have fewer predators. Nesting pairs are protective of their solitude, the safety of their young, and their hunting grounds, so they are not very sociable with other loons during the breeding season. At times, another loon may try to invade the territory of a nesting pair. When such an intruder approaches a loon pair's territory, a fight can occur. Unlike some other water birds, loons cannot take flight quickly, so if taken by surprise, using their wings and feet, they will wing row at impressive speeds along the surface of the water like a motorboat, and if given the chance, will try to dive under their opponent in an attempt to strike them with their bill from underneath. On occasion, the results of a successful attack from below can be fatal. Because Quabbin and Wachusett reservoirs are water supplies, water levels can change greatly depending on precipitation and consumer use. While loons can tolerate some change in water level, an increase of water level greater than 6 inches or a drop of more than 12 inches typically means nest flooding or abandonment. To help with this unique situation, DWSP staff build and install floating nesting rafts, usually constructed of dried cedar logs, wire mesh, and a camouflage canopy to provide shade as well as protection for loons from overhead predators like the bald eagle. The rafts are floated each spring, loaded with vegetation to give it a homey feel, and anchored in the loon's territory.
Even if you just get leaf litter, some soil, that's fine too. We wet it down, and then it weights it a little bit. It'll dry out, but that way it doesn't blow off and air gets washed off. But they also add material too, so they'll bring some muck and whatnot to set up their nests as well. It just sort of makes it more enticing when you already have some.
Loons find them, many returning each year to the same raft and regularly make their nest there. Loon rafts are spread out across known loon territories at both reservoirs, 11 at Quabbin and 8 at Wachusett. During late summer, once breeding season has ended, rafts are towed to a nearby shore, secured and stored for the winter. Loons are fascinating to watch, but if you see loons on the reservoirs, or anywhere else for that matter, give them plenty of space. They are very territorial and suspicious of everyone. They are considered a species of special concern in Massachusetts and are federally protected. Do not approach them and only watch from a distance. If you are in a boat, slow down, minimize your wake, and do not chase them. Stay away from posted or suspected loon nesting areas. What's more, leave the area at once if they sound off. Thrash aggressively in the water or crouch down as if to hide if they are on land. We are all very fortunate that they have chosen to nest here, and we hope they will thrive. The DWSP reservoir system has led the way in reestablishment of loon populations in Massachusetts. New loon population growth and improvements in area water quality has brought them into more pond and lake habitats in the state. And now, when you hear their call, you will know the water is clear.